The current alignment between Mars and Uranus is heating up, bringing shocking, uncontrollable change. This is a very volatile influence. And to add even more fuel to the flame, the upcoming new moon in Scorpio is a major activation of this energy. This means that the new beginnings and the results of the intentions we set for the month ahead will not go as smoothly as planned. The new moon in Scorpio craves certainty, power, and control. But with Mars opposing Uranus and making an exact conjunction with the new moon, our complete lack of control is the only thing we can really be certain about. Mars opposing Uranus is very irritable and frustrated in its energy, and that may lead us to take matters into our own hands and change things for ourselves before Uranus can come in and do the dirty work for us. If this is the case, just know that while the disruption you're creating is necessary, the outcomes of our actions are likely to be unpredictable, especially near the time of the new moon in Scorpio on November 13th. In this video, I'll be covering the astrology for the new moon in Scorpio and the Mars-Uranus opposition, which is super active all throughout the entire month of November. But before we get into all of that, I want to remind you all how to make the best possible use of the free astrology insight I'm providing for you today. So, in case you guys are new to my channel or need a refresher, hello, my name is Heather Elin with astrologywithheather.com. I'm a professional astrologer and I teach astrology. I release new astrology forecasts and tutorials here on my channel every single Saturday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, so make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an important astrology update. The way that I structure my forecast is I always begin with a 10 to 15 minute general overview of the energy for the next 2 weeks ahead. Please don't skip this because this part of the video provides an important context for what we're going to be covering in your forecast for all 12 signs. And it really helps you to plan and prepare bit by bit for everything that's coming up in the entire month ahead. So speaking of which, when we do get into the forecast for all 12 signs, make sure you listen to your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign to get a more holistic overview of the energy for the next 2 weeks ahead. Your rising sign will be the most predominant energy, your sun sign will be secondary, and your moon sign is important to listen to as well, although this energy will be more internalized and subjective. Finally, at the end of each video, I give a 2 to 3 minute sneak preview of what to expect for our next forecast. We're going to be diving into the full moon in Gemini, which is highlighting the super frustrating energy of the Mars-Saturn square, which is coming at the end of this month. And so stick around until the end of this video if you don't want to miss that. All right, so let's get into the forecast for the general overview and what we started discussing here at the intro. And so the Mars opposition to Uranus is the biggest energy for this entire month. This is a super frustrating, super volatile, super inflammatory, super chaotic and unpredictable energy, you guys. This is where people are going to be feeling amped up. People are going to be feeling anxious. People are going to be feeling a little irrational in the way that they're going about taking action. People are going to be making moves from a place of internal, energizing, where it's almost like this visceral energy that's causing you to propel yourself forward into essentially what's going to turn out to be chaos for some people, especially if you have a lot of fixed sign energy. And so even though we'll technically be out of that super faded eclipse zone, the eclipse season is past, it's done, it's over with, we're probably going to be subject to a lot of sudden upheaval and change, maybe even more so than some of us experienced in the month of October, depending on how this aligns in your chart, which of course we'll get into in the forecast for all 12 signs. Mars brings things that can come on suddenly and intensely, and Uranus is an unpredictable, shocking energy that takes us by surprise and changes our lives in ways that we never could have expected. The combination of these energies can be explosive. Frustration is a key word for this energy. We're likely to be way more impatient, way more irritable. We're going to be very easily triggered and irritated by everything and anything that rubs us the wrong way, even if it's just a little bit. So things that would normally be minor friction or minor irritation in our lives will suddenly take on this greater importance where it becomes to the point where we cannot ignore it anymore. And this is where people are going to be changing things on their own, of their own volition, very quickly, very abruptly, very hastily. It's going to be a lot going on. You're going to see your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, all of a sudden doing a complete 180. They were going in one direction and now they have turned this ship around, and you might be doing the exact same thing. And people might be looking at you like you've gone insane because you were doing something and it seemed like it was working. And from the outside, they're like, wow, everything was great. Why the heck did she go and completely rip that all apart? And so just know that whatever it is you're feeling is warranted. It's justified. You do need to change something. If you don't change it yourself, if you don't take direct action, especially around the time that this comes exact around the 11th of November, and especially after that new moon energy really takes hold on the 13th, then Uranus is going to come in and do it for you. And that can feel like a giant wrecking ball being taken to all of your plans. And there's nothing you can do to control it at that point. At least when you initiate the change, there's some semblance of control, or at least a sense of control around the deliberate intentions that you're making and the deliberate direction that you're taking things into. However, Uranus is still a player in this. And so if you're not taking action from a place of intuition or compassion, that's also this energy too. We have a beautiful trine to Neptune from Mars. And so taking action from a place of compassion, taking action from a place of wanting to help others, taking action to change something, not just for your own good, but for the good of all concerned, can take you really a lot farther than changing something for your own selfish desires or because you feel uncomfortable in the moment. And so keeping that in mind can help guide you when it comes to which changes you want to make versus which changes you should maybe put aside and sit through a little bit or sit on a little bit, because it's going to be a lot. Like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of different options coming up for every single person. There's going to be a lot of different directions that you can move into. It's going to feel very scattered and overwhelming. Like, a lot is happening and a lot is changing all at once, especially if you have a lot of fixed sign energy. So again, that's Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius. But even if you don't, this is going to be hitting you in some area of your life. And that's where this scattered energy is going to take hold. But with Mars in the sign of Scorpio in its home sign, it's really all about taking all of this, all of the chaos, all of the noise, and really boiling it down and narrowing your focus to that one big thing, that one big move that you need to take, that you need to make in order to move forward in the right direction, in order to align yourself more fully and truly with your purpose, with what you know you need to jump in on. And this is going to come again from that place of intuition, from that place of compassion, from that place of receptivity. Even if you don't feel like being very receptive with all this martial energy going on here, taking a step back and thinking about how your actions impact not just you, but everyone involved, everyone concerned, everyone out there in the wider world. That's going to help to narrow your focus and guide you in the right direction. And luckily, Mars is in its home sign of Scorpio. And so knowing what action to take is a lot easier when Mars is in this sign. Mars in Scorpio is a very powerful energy. Once you know what you feel deep down inside that you need to do, that you need to accomplish, you are going to be an unstoppable force. Again, especially if you have a lot of that fixed sign, especially if you have a lot of that Scorpio energy. Mars is in its home sign, it's in your sign, and you're going to be like a powerhouse of just manifestation, and especially in the physical, right? So physically doing things, it's not like I'm going to sit here and meditate and things are going to fall into my lap. That's not this energy. That's not most energies, but that's definitely not this energy. This is about doing. You have to do something to create the change that you want to create. You have to do something to get yourself out of that place of stagnancy and frustration that is building and building and building right now. So thinking about where you're feeling frustrated, who you're feeling frustrated with, what's causing you to feel friction and anger and this just crunchy, energy. Whatever the source of that is, that's where you need to start looking to focusing in on to create the change that you need to create through your own direct action. And even if Uranus comes in and disrupts something, it's going to disrupt something that forces you to act in the way that you need to take action. And These are fixed sign energies, you guys. So in the fixed signs, we don't like to change things because we get comfortable. We get kind of like stuck in a rut in the fixed sign energy. Uranus has been helping us out of that over the past few years, and it's been very uncomfortable. And so it's about branching out of our comfort zones and kind of making sure that we're doing what we need to do in order to make that happen, even if it's emotionally unsettling and physically unsettling, especially because we have that very grounded, very physical, fixed earth energy. So there might be something very physical or tangible, or something tied to material possessions or our material life in some way that needs to be changed or pivoted or altered very, very quickly. And, emotionally, it could be that there's something that we need to let go of on the physical that we have a very strong emotional or psychological attachment to in order to move forward, in order to do the thing we need to do. This is going to be a time of abrupt, really weird endings and abrupt, really weird beginnings, especially at the time of that new moon. And so the new moon in Scorpio is happening with the sun's opposition to Uranus exact on that day. So we have this energy here of Mars opposing Uranus, but the sun is coming into the mix. And the sun will actually come and hit Mars. We'll have a Mars cazimi on November 17th. But right before that happens, and right after the Mars Uranus opposition comes super exact, we have that new moon in Scorpio, and it's the same day that the sun is opposing Uranus and activating that energy. And so this means that the new moon, right, and the sun will be in a conjunction with Mars, and the moon is going to be in its fall. So the moon does not like to be in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio feels things very intensely and very deeply. It can be emotionally very intense and very volatile in and of itself, but it's not very emotionally expressive. It's that energy of bottling things up, and there's this crazy, like raging river of craziness going on beneath the surface, but you're not expressing it. You're not letting it out. It's just boiling and boiling and boiling until at some point it has to get out some way. And so I don't love the fact that the new moon is in Scorpio, but it is going to be in a conjunction with Mars, and Mars is in its home sign. So I feel like with this new moon energy, people are going to be very broody. People are going to be really experiencing their emotions internalized in a very intense way. And I think our emotions are going to be expressed externally through our actions, but not through our words or through actually expressing our emotions. It's kind of like we're feeling something so intensely around what we need to disrupt, what we need to shake up, that it comes out through our actions. This is also an energy that can be a little passive aggressive. Mars and the water signs in general can bring that, but with the moon in Scorpio with Mars, I would say this could be a passive aggressive energy as well. So just be careful around that. Like if you're not expressing your emotions appropriately, it's going to come out in the worst of ways through you doing something that you'll probably regret. So that's what I have to say about that. But again, like there's this Mars trine to Neptune as a part of this energy, and that helps us to be a little bit more in tune with our intuition. It helps us to feel a little bit more compassionate. And so hopefully that will mitigate this influence of lashing out and, hurting other people, which could be, that's pretty moon in Scorpio. So the other things going on at the time of this new moon. So we have a Mercury square to Saturn happening exact on November 10th. So literally the day before the Uranus opposition to Mars comes exact. And this is almost like the exact opposite kind of energy. With Mercury squaring Saturn, we are going to be feeling, so this Mars-Uranus opposition, it's like we feel like we want to do this, and this. And we're so frustrated with that over there that we just want to burn it to the ground and completely destroy it and start this new thing over here. And there's like a lot of action and motivation going on. With Mercury squaring Saturn, it can cause us to feel pessimistic about what our options actually are, or it can cause us to not see all of the options because we're so pessimistic. We think we're being realistic, but there's too much realism here. Even with Saturn in the sign of Pisces, that actually brings you even more down to earth. It's kind of like normally you'd have like this big expansive imagination around the possibilities, but with Mercury squaring Saturn, it's like, no. Even with Mercury and Sagittarius, it's like, it's almost as if there's like, you're feeling stuck because there are too many options. There are too many things going on. It can be very hard to get yourself to actually do the things that you need to do or make any sort of rational decision regarding all of the rearranging taking place because there's just so much happening. And this is in the mutable signs, and these are in signs that have to do with really looking at the big picture, looking at all of the possibilities. With Mercury square Saturn, it's like all of these possibilities are maybe unrealistic, or all of these possibilities are too overwhelming. I can't make a decision. I'm just going to shut down. And so, it could either be that our brains could logic ourselves out of making the moves we need to make to get things in motion because we think it's not realistic. Or it could be that there are too many options and our brains can't fathom what to do with all of this. So it makes it a little bit harder with that going on. But that being said, it's not as big of an influence as the Mars-Saturn, which will come at the end of the month. This is just something that's kind of coinciding with the Mars-Uranus energy. And it's kind of like a conflicting influence almost. So the final thing I want to talk about before we get into the all signs forecast is that the Sun and Mars will come into an exact conjunction on November 17th. So this is the Mars Cazimi. When a planet is Cazimi, even when it's Mars, it's considered to be elevated, where its best possible attributes are out and about, are, shining through in some way. And especially with Mars being in its home sign, it is more likely to produce something more adaptive, more productive, more useful in this position, as opposed to Mars maybe being in its detriment or fall or in any of the other signs. And so if this energy with the Mars-Uranus has you feeling anxious, overwhelmed, frazzled, stuck, chaotic, don't worry, because Mars will go Cazimi, and while it's supported in the home sign with Scorpio, this elevated position of Mars, it's going to catalyze bold, clear, and decisive action when it's needed most. This influence will have us feeling energized, powerful, and back in control over our actions and reactions to the situations that are unexpected, that are going to be thrown our way, that shock us out of complacency. And so this is going to make it much easier to take the right action and move forward in a positive way. So if you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling overwhelmed, the 17th, especially later in the day, so this is going to be, well, it depends on where you are. But if you are in the United States, it's going to be, evening into the nighttime. So it's at 10:41 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And so that means it's going to be active just a few hours before and a few hours after that. And so you'll have to check your local time zone to see exactly when that's happening. But that's really where we can take this energy and do something better with it if it is hitting us really hard and if it is causing a little bit of a mess. All right. And so before we get into the all signs forecast, I just want to mention, for those who are interested in learning more about your own birth chart or learning to give readings for other people, I have a free gift for you. The astrological houses are a topic that's probably been distorted by more misinformation and controversy than any other topic in astrology. And this has made it difficult for new astrologers to really understand the meanings of the 12 houses. And it makes it even more difficult to piece the information together coherently to create accurate interpretations and give meaningful astrology readings. And I would like to change that. So that's why I'm unlocking our entire module on the 12 houses from the Cosmic Academy of Astrology for free for you for 10 days. The link to enroll is down in the description below. This free module on the houses is not only going to give you a giant lesson on the houses. It's going to clear up a lot of misinformation. You're going to get our homework assignment from the Academy to help you actually use this in practice. You're going to get a fun little quiz and some bonus videos that will really help you round out your understanding of the houses and use it in practice. But this also serves as a preview of the Cosmic Academy of Astrology. So you're going to have an opportunity to sneak a peek inside my most popular and comprehensive astrology course. And this course, you guys, is like none other out there. That's the feedback that we get constantly. So many people come to us and they tell us after they've enrolled in our course that they really wish they hadn't taken that really bad course from that other person that they paid all this money for, because not all courses are created equal. And nowadays, everyone just has an astrology course, and some people should because they're brilliant and they're great teachers, and some people really shouldn't. They're just good astrologers maybe, or maybe they're not good astrologers. And so anyway, our course is very different. We have a lot of support. Not only is the information super well validated and well researched, because I have only taught things that I know through direct experience and working with thousands of charts to be accurate and useful in prediction and in practice. But I also provide a lot of support and mentorship. We have a community where you can ask your questions and get answers. We have smaller study group sessions with our teaching assistants. We have Q&A calls. We also have active participation exercises that help you take what you're learning and actually each step of the way put it into practice. There's so much. So you'll see all of this if you enroll in the 10-day free preview. But the Cosmic Academy of Astrology is really the place that we have created for astrologers who are tired of sifting through piles of disconnected and disorganized information all over YouTube, in books, and sometimes even in courses that are poorly put together, only to be left to be frustrated and confused when you try to piecemeal it all together to give a reading. And so in the Academy, we offer a structured step-by-step approach to learning astrology that logically layers the information. And the best part is you won't be doing it alone. So in addition to over 120 hours of pre-recorded lessons covering everything you need to read natal charts and make complex predictions with confidence, the Academy includes, like I mentioned, the study group sessions, live Q&A calls, and an active and engaging student community where you get to ask your questions, get answers from expert astrologers, and connect with like-minded astrology lovers just like you to learn and practice together. Even if you aren't ready to join us in the Academy, that's completely okay. You can still unlock the free 10-day access to our module on the astrological houses and benefit from all the information and resources we've provided free of charge. My gift to you. Once again, the link is down in the description below. All right, so let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs, beginning, of course, with Aries and Aries rising. So for Aries and for Aries rising, this energy of the Mars-Uranus opposition is shaking things up in the area of finance. So there could be a lot of volatility, a lot of disruption, a lot of change, a lot of new energy coming in when it comes to money, when it comes to your material possessions. There could be a new opportunity that comes your way when it comes to joint finances, or it could be through a partner or a significant other, or there could be something that comes and shakes things up when it comes to debt or taxes or an insurance payout of some kind. And, it could be positive, but there is going to be this energy here of like, it's unsettling in some way. It's like you thought something was going to go one way, and then all of a sudden you have to do a 180, you have to pivot, you have to take some sort of action to throw it in a different direction. This is, not the worst necessarily energy. We do have Jupiter still in your second house, and so it could be that there's just a very sudden financial opportunity that comes up for you, an investment opportunity or an opportunity to cash in on an investment maybe. Or it could be an opportunity to sever ties with some sort of financial institution. So if you are somebody who's in debt, this could be actually something that comes up very abruptly, very suddenly, that allows you to cut ties, that allows you to change the trajectory of your financial situation in a way that's very quick but very unexpected. But it could have positive, lasting change as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something negative here. And, with this new moon energy, this is a really important time to reset in the area of finances. So there's been a lot going on, a lot of disruption, a lot of new opportunity. This is a time where you should set intentions to make changes on things that you feel really frustrated about when it comes to your financial situation. And so some of this could be that it's not even that a new opportunity comes your way financially, it's that you have to make your own opportunity to change something because you're feeling so frustrated with being in debt. You're feeling so frustrated with the IRS knocking on your door. You're feeling so frustrated with the lack of financial freedom, or maybe you're feeling frustrated with a partner and the way that you're dealing with your resources together in partnership. And something needs to change, something needs to break, something needs to pivot in some way. And this new moon is going to bring up that emotional connection to whatever's going on here. And it's going to stimulate a cutting of cords and a starting fresh in this area that's going to begin and end likely rather abruptly, although the ramifications of this will last really throughout most of the month, especially until November 24th. There is, a little bit of mitigation going on from Neptune, which is transiting your 12th house right now. And so, dealing with this in a way that is very intuitive, this almost to me seems like if you're doing it in a way that's compassionate and you're following your intuition, you're making sure that what you're doing financially is good for all concerned, and you're doing it in secret, that might somehow work out better. So maybe, keep it to yourself. All right. And then for Taurus and Taurus rising. So for Taurus, this energy is happening in your sign and also in the 7th house. And so the Mars-Uranus opposition is all about disruption and a little bit of chaos and potential turbulence when it comes to relationships. It's not necessarily a bad thing. There's kind of this frustrated energy that's been building in an important relationship in your life that is coming to this breaking point, this point of no return where you have to pivot, you have to change something, you have to go in a different direction. And for you, this might not be self-directed. And so even though Mars is in the mix, it looks like it's the other person that's initiating some sort of change, that's throwing you a curveball very suddenly, very hastily. And, you could have the potential to overreact or to, shake things up in a less positive way as a result of that if it kind of throws you for a loop. However, this is a really great energy for making a very dramatic change in partnership together with somebody. This could also be an energy if you are in some sort of contract or agreement that is no longer working for you. So maybe you signed a contract for a home, a lease, a business type of deal, whatever it is, there's some sort of contractual obligation for some of you, not all of you, that you are starting to feel like very unnerved by, and there could be a need to sever that connection. Especially around the time of this new moon, this is a time for very abrupt endings and very pivotal and unexpected, shocking new beginnings to come into the mix when it comes to all types of relationships. And this could be a new relationship coming in. And if a new relationship does come in for you, it's going to be very powerful, very volatile, very intense, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of like it's so unexpected that it shakes you. And so, emotionally, you might not feel ready for it or prepared at the time of the new moon. But other than that, and it could be a volatile relationship because it's starting under this energy. But I would say that regardless of what's going on in your relationships, your friends are the people to lean on. Your friends are going to be that source of compassionate support. Your friends are the mitigating influence. And so look to your support system for guidance, for help, for support, just because they probably will understand what you're going through. And even if they can't help you, and even if they can't change it, they'll be able to be a place for you to kind of lean on throughout this process. And I do think the outcome of this is inherently going to be positive, but it is kind of like your relationships are all over the place for the next couple of weeks. For Gemini and for Gemini rising, this energy is happening with the Mars-Uranus opposition in your 6th and in your 12th house. your day-to-day life and your day-to-day work is going to feel so chaotic. It's going to be like you have one thing after another being thrown at you left and right and upside down and sideways, and it's going to really disrupt your daily rhythm. So if you are in a really good, solid kind of day-to-day routine and you have that going for you, this is going to throw a wrench in that. But it's kind of like a needed disruption where all of a sudden something comes up and you have to pivot, but it's like, I should have been doing it this way, or I should have changed this a long time ago. There could be some sort of argument, dispute, disagreement, disruptive energy coming through your coworkers, your employees, through your work in general. And there could also be, this would be a time where your stress levels could lead to burnout or to some sort of health issues. You want to really make sure that you are taking the time to down-regulate that sympathetic nervous system, to calm, to rest, to spend time just kind of decompressing. It's going to feel like there's so much going on behind the scenes and behind closed doors and in your day-to-day life front and center that you can't do that, but you need to do that. The compassionate source of like help and healing comes through either your big career goals and plans, so kind of looking to those big opportunities, those big goals, those things that you envision for yourself in the future, and pivoting and making changes in a way that aligns with that. Or you could actually have a source of compassion, a source of guidance, a source of support that comes through somebody in a position of power and authority. It could be that something crazy is going on at work and you just talk to your boss and your boss is like, hey, I got your back. That would be one really beautiful expression of this as well. This could also be that you really need to pivot or change something really abruptly with a creative project or pursuit involving your career. And so all of a sudden an opportunity comes up and you have to change course and change direction and change your day-to-day habits and routines very, very quickly. There could also be something that comes up that causes you to have to take on a caregiver role very abruptly. And that could be a disruptive energy. It's not necessarily like overtly negative, but it's going to feel uncomfortable and a little chaotic, where it's like I have so much on my plate and now I have this to add, but that's not necessarily the worst thing in the entire world, because this is a mitigated influence and it's going to cause you to do something or change something that you really have needed to change when it comes to your day-to-day routines, when it comes to your health even. Whatever disruptions are coming up for a reason. And so whatever you feel frustrated with too, when it comes to your work or your health or your day-to-day routines or, something or someone that you need to care for, all of that is coming up for a reason. All right. And then for Cancer and for Cancer rising, this Mars-Uranus opposition is super impactful in your 5th and in your 11th house, which is a much nicer energy for Cancers than it is for a lot of the other signs. And so I like this energy actually for Cancer. It's actually really, really nice in all the ways, because you also have Neptune in trine with your ascendant sun or moon, especially if you're an N degree Cancer. And then you have this new moon with Mars trine your ascendant sun or moon. You have Uranus there in the 11th house, again, trine your ascendant sun or moon. This is a beautiful energy. So for you, Cancer, this is going to be a very creative time. You're going to have bursts of passion and inspiration and insight that are going to lead you down a path that's going to align you with your joy, with your purpose, with the things that you love to do. This could also be a really beautiful energy for something new coming up very unexpectedly involving your children, if you have any, or, maybe a new child coming into your life, if that's applicable to you and if that's something that you're aiming for. Even if it's not, this could actually be a very all of a sudden shocking, unexpected pregnancy. But if that happens, it's taken positively. So if that's not something that would be a positive experience for you, then it's probably not how this is going to manifest. But this could be, unexpected, all of a sudden you're pregnant and you didn't expect that, or your partner's pregnant. This could also be a really beautiful energy for changing something or doing something new involving your friends or group associations, or a new friend coming in who shares the same passions and visions that you have for, your life and for the things that you love. And so you do all the fun things together. So someone that kind of gets you out of your shell and breaks you out of day-to-day complacency and stagnancy and helps connect you with your passions. This is also a really beautiful energy for Cancer in particular to dive in, to pivot when it comes to maybe learning something new. So like this is maybe letting go of something that, you know, it's past its expiration date. You've already learned that, you've been there, you've done that. And then something new comes in and you want to learn about that. And so this could be a really great time to enroll in some sort of course, especially if it has spiritual or metaphysical components to it. And especially if it's something that you're deeply, deeply passionate about. You know, in the occult sciences or something like that too. So like a tarot course, an astrology course, like the Cosmic Academy of Astrology. Something along those lines could go really well for Cancer. Okay. And then for Leo and for Leo rising, this Mars-Uranus opposition is happening in your 10th and in your 4th house. And this is going to be a more disruptive energy for Leos than for a lot of the other signs because you are a fixed sign. And this is hitting that, that angular house axis in your chart. And so a lot of this energy could be squaring your ascendant sun or moon, especially if you have your ascendant sun or moon anywhere from really 15 to 25 degrees in the sign of Leo. This is going to be a more volatile, more disruptive energy for you. It's almost as if something happens at home and it's so shocking and it's so out of the blue and out of nowhere that it reverberates into all different areas of your life. And so it's going to cause you to have to change or pivot something when it comes to your career, public reputation, or what it is that you do and put out there into the world. It could cause somebody in a position of power and authority to maybe not recognize you in some way, but like they become part of the mix and that becomes disruptive. You can take that to mean what you want. And this is going to impact you when it comes to your personal, like who you are, what you're doing out in the world. It could impact your health in some way. And it could also impact your relationships. And so your relationships are subject to very quick, very abrupt change, disruption. You could have a lot of arguments, disagreements, disputes that come up very unexpectedly, way out of left field, especially again around if you have a rising sign in Leo around that 20-degree mark. This could be like all of a sudden your partner is picking at you for something that you just didn't even know was an issue, or they want to do something that you completely didn't expect, or the issue at home becomes a bigger issue in the relationship. And that could come up for you as well. Your source of kind of relief here is kind of like your internal work. And so this is going to be a really healing time where a lot of your fears, especially from early childhood, are going to bubble up to the surface, but you're going to recognize it and you're going to heal it very easily through just whatever practices are best for you, really. So like doing things like psychotherapy, this could be a really great time for doing some sort of like hypnosis or regression or something like that. This could be a really great time for engaging in kind of deeper, more esoteric spiritual practices in order to help guide you through this like process and all this chaos that's going on here. But yeah, so it's not as easy for Leos, but just know that there's something that you need to change when it comes to your roots, when it comes to your home or living situation, when it comes to your connection with your family. And like this is just part of that. It's not going to be a comfortable process, but it's going to be a necessary process, and you're going to feel very liberated after this happens. And especially it's going to reverberate into your career, and you're going to have new opportunities that come up as a result of this that you never would have anticipated otherwise. That new moon energy too, it's like abrupt beginnings and abrupt endings when it comes to your living situation, your home, family dynamics, and family connections. For Virgo and for Virgo rising, this Mars-Uranus opposition is happening in your 3rd and in your 9th house. And so there's a lot of volatility here, but this is not necessarily the worst energy. Out of all of the signs, yours is probably getting like the second best energy. So actually, I think Pisces would be getting the second best. Yours is like a top 3 in terms of the best manifestations that you could possibly have of an energy that is otherwise very chaotic, very volatile, very irritating. So, you might have some sort of unexpected opportunity that comes up very abruptly, very suddenly to go on a trip, to travel. You could travel in a like close distance, or this could even be like a long distance travel opportunity that comes up to you. And that could actually come through, connection with a partner, connection with somebody else, like a deep spiritual connection with somebody. And this could also bring about a deep spiritual connection with somebody that comes up very quickly through a travel opportunity, or through a connection with somebody in a foreign country or foreign culture, or through a connection with somebody in your community, through your neighbors, through your neighborhood. It could literally be a neighbor, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I didn't realize you existed here. And, this is a really powerful, really deep, really spiritual connection that I feel with you. It doesn't have to be romantic. It could be, a friendship or something along those lines, but that could come up as well. This is a really great energy to do something spontaneous with a partner that you're already in connection with, especially if that has something to do with creativity, spirituality, like inner development, that type of thing. This is a really great time for you to partner with somebody to do something compassionate and helpful and charitable within your community, or within the world at large. So if your vantage point and your perspective are more focused on kind of the world at large because of all of the, chaotic and really difficult things going on out there, then that might be your outlet for partnering with somebody and doing something really charitable, really compassionate. Or if you're focused more on your community and kind of grassroots, what's going on here and now, then there could be an opportunity that comes up there. I also really love this for education. So, finding a teacher who can teach you either one-on-one or in a smaller group setting, even like big group setting, I think that would be fine for this. But this is like an educational opportunity that comes up very quickly. It feels disruptive, and it's kind of like, can I actually do this? And it's like all at once, and it's kind of like, but I do think that this could be positive for you as well. And you can make some really positive connections, through branching out and learning new skills and connecting with new teachers, or enrolling in some sort of course or certification, or through travel. For Libra and for Libra rising. So for Libra, this energy of the Mars-Uranus opposition is happening in your 2nd and your 8th house. This is a disruptive energy for your finances. This is going to bring up something that comes up very quickly, very abruptly, and it feels irritating. Like you are irritated with your financial situation, or with this new development, or this series of new developments that are being thrown at you all at once when it comes to your money. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. It's just an overwhelming thing. Maybe, all of a sudden you have to get your books in a row or something like that, or all of a sudden a new financial opportunity for like a big purchase comes up and you weren't expecting it, and it's very anxiety provoking, but you know that you need to do it in the moment. And so you're just scrambling to get all of the pieces together. That could be a big energy for this too, especially if it's like a work-related investment or a health-related investment. That could be part of this too. And that could actually be a really good thing if that is the case. But there's an energy here of like a shocking event. It's like you're trucking along and you're like, I'm not happy with my financial situation, or with the money situation, or with what's going on here materially. But it's okay, right? I'm comfortable. And then all of a sudden this thing comes up and it's like, now I have to deal with this. I was already frustrated, and now it's like past the point of no return. I actually have to change something about the way I'm handling my financial situation. And that could be part of this too. It could also be a new opportunity that comes up for you to make money very quickly. Like this is something with a quick turnaround. If it is a financial opportunity, it's like you get this opportunity, you go in, you do it, you make the money, you're done. This is a time where you should make financial changes, and those changes could be really abrupt and really out of left field, very different from what you thought that you would be doing, especially around the time of that new moon. Very big endings and very big beginnings that are like, people are going to think you're weird for doing it, but it's something that you need to do, and you should absolutely do it, even if it is disruptive in the moment, because this is a change that's been building. It's a change that's been needed for quite some time. And then for Scorpio and for Scorpio rising, this is another one where it's very disruptive for you because you are that fixed sign energy, and this is happening in your sign. And so it's just the way it's going to be, Scorpio. Luckily, Mars is in its home sign. When Mars is in Scorpio, people who are Scorpio, Scorpio rising, even sometimes Scorpio moon, although the moon's in its fall there, but especially Scorpio sun and rising, people tend to feel very amped up, very energized, very motivated. They tend to have like more strength, more power. They feel more powerful. And so this can be a really great time for you. It's just that there's a lot going on and it's coming through other people. It's like there's chaos coming from all these other people and all these connections in your life, and it's causing you to have to take action. It's like, this is happening, I have to take action. This person told me this, I have to take action. That person over there, I have to take action. Or it could be that you have to take action to organize a lot of new connections, a lot of new contracts, a lot of new agreements, a lot of new people coming into your life. That could be part of this too. There could also be something really abrupt that comes up for you that you need to do something and that changes something involving your partnership. So if you are in partnership, it's like something comes out of nowhere. It's shocking. It's unexpected. And all of a sudden you have to do this thing and it impacts your relationship in a way that is disruptive. It's not necessarily bad, especially if this is something that you are really passionate about, that you really love. This is a really great time to jump in and do something that is creative and that has some sort of spiritual association or connection. This is also a really great time to take action in a very compassionate and supportive way involving your children and your connection and your relationship with your children. And that could be part of this too. But whatever it is happening right now, it feels like a lot. Like this is an inflammatory energy, very literally for Scorpios, because this is your body. So you could have a lot of inflammation. You could have like headaches and aches and pains and, actual like inflammatory responses. Your nervous system is going to be way on overdrive and you're going to feel very overstimulated. So you want to make sure that you're taking time to rest, decompress, calm your nervous system, breathe. You need exercise right now, Scorpio. That is going to be the best way to stay healthy. But don't do it all chaotically. Like be careful because this is an energy where you're going to be more prone to running into things or, throwing out your knee or whatever it is that you're prone to. You don't want to like go all crazy with it, but you need to move your body as much as you can with this Mars energy because otherwise your nervous system is going to be like, blah. So hopefully that helps you. Definitely you need to start some new things in all areas of life, but especially involving connections, collaborations, and relationships around the time of this new moon. But don't expect them to go the way that you expect them to. Just know that the outcomes are not necessarily going to be what you think they are. They're not within your control, but you do need to make things happen. Okay. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. So for Sagittarius, this energy of the Mars-Uranus opposition is happening in your 12th and in your 6th house. And so this is a really interesting energy. So beneath the surface, it's like something is stewing, something is boiling, something is irritating you. And this could also be that there's somebody literally doing something irritating behind closed doors and you don't know exactly what it is. You just know that it's like bothering you in some way. This could be an energy where somebody's working against you behind the scenes and especially in relationship to your work or to your health in some way even, which seems kind of odd, but that could be the case. This is also where you really need to take care of yourself. So it's going to be very hard for you to rest. It's going to be very hard for you to take a breather. It's going to be very hard for you to allow yourself to just sleep, just sit there, just decompress in some way. But you absolutely need this because with this energy on the Mars-Uranus axis, even though it's going to be hard to rest, even though you're going to have a hard time maybe sleeping and your sleep will be disrupted, you need this more than ever. Really spending time at home with your family, doing things that are very creative, compassionate, intuitive, fantastical, even something as simple as watching a really good movie that you can just really embrace and immerse yourself in with your family, that can do a lot. Or having some sort of creative project where you're beautifying your home in some way or something like that could be helpful. Compassionate connection with your family members. Your family members are going to be the biggest source of support during this time. And that's going to help you feel a lot better. This is really more about endings than beginnings for Sagittarius, especially at the time of the new moon, which happens on the 13th of November. And so there's something that's been really frustrating you when it comes to your day-to-day routines, your day-to-day habits that you need to stop. You need to let go of. It's like too much for you. And so whatever that is, just know that it's okay to let it go. And once you sever that connection, you sever that tie, you're going to feel a lot more restful and in balance. All right. And then for Capricorn and for Capricorn rising. So for Capricorn, this Mars-Uranus opposition is happening in your 11th and in your 5th house. So this is actually one of the better energies. I would say top 5 in terms of the way that this is aligning in different charts of different signs. But it could bring disagreements, arguments, disputes, shocking and unexpected developments when it comes to your friends, your group associations, your networks, the people that you surround yourself with by choice. So be forewarned. There could be some volatility, especially where you least expect it. So that friend that's always reliable, that you can always count on, might all of a sudden become very unreliable. And there might be a heated dispute that comes up as a result of this. There could also be new connections that come in very unexpectedly with people that you normally wouldn't connect with. And these could actually be very powerful and very helpful for you. And you could actually have really good, compassionate communication. This is a really great time for you to do something kind of on the fly that you wouldn't normally do, kind of out of character within your community, or to connect with people kind of as a group or to network in some way. That can help you to facilitate really positive connections out of this. There's something here too where you might need to step into a leadership role within your social circle or within a group setting in some way where you normally would shy away from that. Having that Scorpio 11th house energy and maybe being that Capricorn rising or something. But this is where you're going to want to be stepping in front and center and leading and motivating others in some way. And it's going to be very out of character in the way that this is coming about, if that is the case. This is a really important time for new beginnings and really abrupt kind of unexpected endings when it comes to your connections with your friends, and when it comes to relationships in general. It's like things are rearranging very quickly and very weirdly. It's like, I didn't expect that person to behave in that way. I didn't expect that person to move and leave. I didn't expect that new person to come into my life because I normally wouldn't think about talking to them, but I'm so glad I did. So it's kind of like all over the place. Good, bad, ugly, all of it. And you're going to feel very busy when it comes to your social connections around the time of this Mars-Uranus opposition and this new moon. It could feel a little overwhelming, but it's not the worst thing. I think that this is going to be exciting for you. It's going to shake you out of maybe a rut when it comes to your social connections and your just the way that you go about socializing. So I think this could be very positive for a lot of Capricorns. All right. And then for Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this Mars-Uranus opposition is happening in your 10th and in your 4th house. Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, in modern astrology at least. Aquarius, you're going to be having a little bit more of a challenging time with this energy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is what's happening for all of the fixed signs. This is squaring your ascendant sun or moon, and this is chaos energy. So if you're prone to feeling overwhelmed, if you are prone to being anxious, this could amp up your anxiety. If you're prone to feeling unsettled, this could make you feel more unsettled. If you're prone to instability, this could exacerbate that energy. This is an energy too where there could be a lot going on when it comes to your career and your home life, where that area, that axis of your life is so busy and so chaotic that you're feeling overwhelmed, and that could lead to physical burnout. That could lead to feeling just irritable and on edge and frustrated, and that could reverberate into your relationships and it could affect it in a negative way. So you want to be careful with that, Aquarius, especially if you are an Aquarius rising anywhere around 20 degrees. I would say 15 to 25 especially would be feeling this a lot more so. So, kind of moving on into this, Mars in your 10th house, this is where you're going to need to change something. You're feeling frustrated, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling like this disruptive energy internally that's going to express itself externally by you making a decision, by you cutting ties, quitting a job, starting a new one, starting a new project, changing direction with your business, connecting in a different way with somebody in a position of power and authority, putting something new and different out into the world at large, even if you're not someone who's working. This could also be you changing and beginning and ending things rather abruptly when it comes to your family, your home life, your family connections, your place of living. And that could have something to do with a career move. It's almost like something's going on up here out in the world, and that causes you to have to really pivot and change something and disrupt something that was otherwise starting to restabilize when it comes to your home and your living situation or your connections with your family. This new moon energy is going to exacerbate that. There is something that you need to change. There is something you need to take action on. It's not going to feel comfortable. It's going to be very different than what you think it's going to be even right now as I'm saying this, but it needs to happen. It's like something is reaching its breaking point. Something is reaching that boiling point, and you need to pivot. You need to do it. All right. And then finally for Pisces and for Pisces rising. This energy of the Mars-Uranus opposition is happening in your 9th and your 3rd house. And so this is an energy that I think could be very nice for Pisces. This is like the second best energy of all of the signs when it comes to this configuration. And I actually like it for you. So this could be a really unexpected new opportunity that comes in the area of the 9th house very suddenly, very abruptly, and in a way that's disruptive, but positively disruptive. If you can kind of cut out all the noise and all of the chaos, if there's multiple opportunities coming up for you and just hone in on that one thing, something involving travel, something involving higher education or a higher educational pursuit, something involving experiential knowledge, something involving maybe sharing your knowledge and wisdom that you've gained through experience. Maybe you have an opportunity to speak at some sort of conference or, webinar or whatever. And it comes up all of the sudden out of nowhere. It's very uncomfortable, but you know that this is what you need to do. Maybe all of a sudden your friend overseas says, hey, I would really love for you to come visit. I have this, and this going on. Let's go, and you decide that you need to make that happen. It could also be like more of a short distance thing or an opportunity that comes up in your immediate environment. But it looks like the more acute energy here is kind of bigger, like long distance, wider world stage kind of energy. This is a really interesting time for your beliefs and your worldviews. It's kind of like something that you believed about something, big picture, like you held this deeply held value, this deeply held belief about the way things were, the way people were, or the way the world is. Maybe it was religious in nature. Maybe not. But whatever's going on here, there's kind of like all of a sudden something comes up and it's very triggering and very intense, and it changes the way you view your reality. It changes your philosophy. It maybe even changes the way that you feel about your religious value systems and beliefs. And that can be disruptive, but it's also positive. It's like, oh, I was thinking it was this way. This is so unexpected. I never would have thought about it this way, but now that I do, I feel much more loving, much more compassionate, much more connected to, this teaching, this philosophy, the world at large, whatever it is. This is a very beautiful kind of creative time for you too. So if there's something you want to create and put out there into the world, especially when it comes to sharing knowledge, this is a really beautiful time for that, because Neptune is hitting your ascendant, sun, or moon, especially those end degree Pisces people. I love, love, love this for that. But overall, don't be afraid to change your mind about something. If there's something that you were diehard dogmatic about, that you were preaching to everyone, and all of a sudden that gets shattered, don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel weird about it. Just know that this is how it needs to be, and be okay with being wrong sometimes, because you might have been wrong. You're a mutable sign. You can be mutable, right? And that's gonna help you in a lot of ways. There's some belief system that you really need to just trash and get rid of. that you've been holding on to because psychologically and emotionally you have some sort of attachment to it. Once that moves away, you're going to see the truth. You're going to know how things really work, and that's going to change the way that you engage with the world, and that's going to help you to engage in a way that's much more loving, open, compassionate. It's going to be a good thing. So don't be afraid if your worldview is shattered around the time of this Mars-Uranus opposition. And so that is my forecast, you guys, for all 12 signs. 2 weeks from now, yes, we're going to be talking about the Mars square Saturn, which is really going to be the pivotal energy coming at the very end of this month, and the full moon in Gemini, which is going to be activating that Mars square to Saturn. So we start out the month with this energy that's super like chaotic and super all over the place. So at the new moon in Scorpio and at this Mars-Uranus opposition, things will feel hectic and scattered, and change will be occurring all over the place at lightning speed. At the time of the full moon in Gemini, things shift very dramatically. Our momentum will begin to stall out in a big way because of this Mars-Saturn energy, which is frustration, roadblocks. It says no to things. It shuts things down. And so it's going to feel like all of a sudden, like we were speeding through and everything was all over the place, and then we just hit this wall. And so we're going to talk about this again in just a couple of weeks. So make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss that really important astrology update. And thank you guys so much for watching.